Hello and welcome everyone to our new Rocket Rabbit Commentaries playthrough of Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yay!
It is one of the greatest platforming games ever. And yes, I went through several different test renditions before we actually got to this one. Because this actually involves a bit of evolution for us because I'm using OBS to record instead of Camtasia at the moment. But yes, I am playing the SNES version as opposed to the GBA version because the SNES version both looks better and plays faster. However, I will say that the SNES version is significantly harder than the GBA version.
Why is it harder than the GBA version?
Several things that we'll actually be getting into. One of the main things is the fact that the banana coins in DKC2 serve a much more important purpose in the SNES version as opposed to the GBA version. You see, in the SNES version, in order to save your game multiple times at Wrinkly, you actually have to pay her after the first one. I'll be showing off that I am using an emulator for this because, yeah, I am. So originally, if you wanted to actually save your game, you would always need to have about 2 banana coins on hand. This comes into an issue when you actually end up exiting out and taking a break from the game, because this game was designed to actually be completed in one sitting, even though it's rather lengthy for that. It's like, about 4 hours long.
Yeah, seriously.
And what I mean by that is that, well, it's one of my major complaints actually. When you exit out of the game, you end up losing all of your collected lives and all of your collected banana coins. Yeah.
Well, I think this was still pretty early in the days of like save games.
This was very early. This was very early, and we had not yet decided that lives were a terrible thing.
So really, what makes the SNES version difficult, or rather,
is its archaic game design? Yeah,
just a save system.
Yeah, the save system is one of the most. It is honestly the biggest thing to complain about in this game. Very little else is actually wrong with this title. But here is Dixie Kong. She is awesome. And honestly, if I could, I would actually play the entire game as Dixie Kong over Diddy, but Diddy has things that he can do that Dixie simply cannot. Diddy travels much faster and farther than Dixie Kong, both on the ground and through jumps. But Dixie Kong's hover ability technically means that she can travel farther and, longer.
And you could freely switch between the Kongs, right? Yeah.
Yes. Using the select button of all things.
So I have rather minimal experience with this game. I have played it before. I've never beaten it. I think I've beaten a few levels, like at my buddy's house when he had like his projector set up in his garage. It was pretty cool. Like imagine playing this game on like a 10-foot wide screen. But I always enjoyed this game. The controls are simple. It looks fantastic, and there are just so many aesthetics that make it a very pleasant gaming experience.
Most certainly. Although it makes rendering video parts fucking ridiculous because of all the graphical effects that are going on.
That's your problem.
I know. This will, for those wondering, this will not be a 100% playthrough. Want to know why? Collecting all the Crumb coins and actually finishing the Lost World is ridiculous. Is just freaking ridiculous. There are 75 Crumb coins in the entire game, and I think I managed to get like 50. No, I get 62 by the end of the game. I think it's 62. No, it's not. It's 52.
It must be a trope. It must have been a trope for the longest time that Donkey Kong games have a shitload of collectibles that you don't necessarily have to get.
Well, in order to get the true ending, you actually do have to get all the coins. But yeah, I actually think the normal ending is better than the true ending, especially with the boss fight that is attached to the bad ending.
You have to
Or
fight
the
an
normal
additional
ending,
boss
rather.
if you get the bad ending.
No, the true ending has an additional boss at before it, but it's really just a battle of attrition.
Oh my god. This is so nice when you go to the earlier games in a franchise and you see that there are a lot of the stuff that was in the later games is also in the earlier games, and I can say from experience, Donkey Kong 64 is notorious for having way too many collectibles.
I can't play Donkey Kong 64. I just cannot fucking
Nobody
do it.
can play Donkey Kong 64. Stay far away from that game.
Well, here's the thing, it's not a bad game. It really isn't, but so much shit to
It will make you
collect.
question everything you hold dear about getting shit in a video game.
100 bananas in every level for each different Kong. What is it? Like, it's like 5... Isn't it like 5 banana coins for each Kong in each level too?
Well, I can't say how many of the shit that you have to get for each character. You have to. There are bananas. There are banana coins. There are there's the rare metal. There's the this. There's the that. And like multiply a lot of those assets by 5. Multiply that by the number of levels there are, which I think is like 7 or 8, and you have way too many fucking collectibles. Like 200 hours worth of just getting shit that you stop caring about really quickly.
Yeah. But really, that's one of the only real problems that DK64 actually has. It's trying so hard to be a collectathon in the Mario 64 style that it just overblows it too much. Otherwise, the game is actually pretty damn fun. It's just that in order to make progress, you have to go and collect shit. I'll say this. I even actually like Tiny Kong. You know, Dixie Kong's replacement.
Oh yeah, Tiny.
I like Tiny. I think Tiny is cool.
Yeah, I like Tiny. She says
I don't really care for I don't care for Lanky that much, and Kiddy Kong I don't care about, but Donkey, Diddy, and Tiny I like.
Did you say Kiddy Kong? You mean Chunky? Yeah. Chunky is.
Yeah. I'm thinking of Chunky.
I fucking love Chunky. Like when you go to the character select screen, when you jump into a DK barrel to switch between the Kongs, like when you highlight Chunky, he really doesn't want you to pick him. So he starts like scrambling around for like and then he points to his left. He says, "Tiny, pick Tiny."
But here's our first underwater level.
Underwater levels, no.
Well, here's the thing: the underwater levels in Donkey Kong Country are actually decent. They're not absolutely terrible. Especially because a lot of the time you get to use Ungard in them, and Ungard is awesome. He is a swordfish.
And you don't have a breath meter, too.
Indeed.
These are magic monkeys. Oh my god, you're really blowing through these Kremlin coins.
For the first 2 worlds, one of the major problems that I end up actually having is that I play through the first 2 worlds so often that I may as well have shown off the award points, but after the first 2 worlds, I really start losing my edge on the game. You see, what the save system actually does is it pretty much forces you through the first 2 worlds of the game over and over again. Especially because there's a huge difficulty spike in Act 3, and it's not one that I am, really comfortable with.
So you have to go through the first 2 levels to grind lives?
I don't usually go through all the worlds, but if I'm going to grind lives, then I do go back to the first level, because you can get 5 lives in that level quite easily. Yeah. Just by going through. And I really wish I'd stopped getting hit with On Guard.
The poor Ungard, like he just wants to help you, but you keep scaring him away. Damn it!
I do 100% the first world. No other worlds though.
Rock it, Diddy. Rock the boombox. Throw down, yo.
Remember, this was back when we had a bunch of rap music, you know, starting to cross over into the mainstream.
That's right.
So of course Diddy is a rapper. Here we have Ratley, our replacement for Winky.
And we're also back on the Mast, where it plays one of my favorite level themes in the entire game.
Yes, it is a very nice theme.
Yeah.
And here is Ratley's Super Jump.
Well, I love all the animal friends are just so happy to be with you.
That's true. I have a particular bias against Ratley because he's pretty much Winky, but at the same point, it's not Ratley's fault that he's pretty much Winky, and it's not really that I have to harp on. It's Ratley has, to his credit, to his detriment rather, a particular level that I associate with him. That is actually one of the few times where the GBA version is somewhat harder than the SNES version.
Now, when you say that the GBA version is harder, is it because of like frame rate issues or anything like that?
It's not necessarily because of anything that's technically wrong with the title. I mean, it looks like shit, but honestly, that doesn't really affect my playstyle. The control is actually a bit more loose in the GBA version, which makes the majority of the game actually easier than the SNES version, because the SNES controls are a bit too tight. Wait, no, it's the other way around. My bad. Yeah, the GBA controls are actually much tighter than the SNES controls. Diddy has a lot of fucking momentum when he's moving around. You failed. Yes, but luckily for us, we have Dixie Kong, so we can just cheese our way back there.
Does she have unlimited hover?
It's not technically unlimited because she's constantly going down, but there isn't a time limit on the hover. It's just, you know, when you touch the ground, you end up stopping. Sadly, she's not invincible while hovering.
So, given that the controls in this game, I mean, there are a lot of controls for the Kongs, but you know, they never add moves. You're always using either Diddy or Dixie. It's interesting when...
There's a particular move that if you don't know about, you will end up getting stuck, though.
Well, yeah, but that's the player's fault. The player ought to know what all the controls are.
Yeah, but I don't think that particular move was actually explained anywhere. And if it is, it's probably under either a Crankly or Winky Kong hint.
Kong College. 9 divided...
This is Wrinkly Kong. She is awesome, but she ends up dead.
8 times 1 equals 9.
Nah, 9 divided by 3 is not 6, and 4 plus 2 is not 5.
So funny.
Yes. The Kongs are not
It's the first boss!
Yes!
It's playing one of my favorite themes in all video games, the Bossa Nova theme.
Now, Crow is actually a really simple boss. All you really gotta do during the first phase is jump on the eggs to knock them out of the air and then hit them with them. During the second phase, it actually gets a little bit more complicated, but it's still pretty easy.
Yeah. What I like about this boss is that, with its simplicity, you also learn pretty quickly. I mean, back in the early days of video gaming, I'm not sure how many bosses, you know, one player or another will find. But it's like, oh, hey, I'm hitting this guy, but he's not dying right away. I'm gonna rock the boombox because I just killed one creature.
Yes. But it was a rather large creature.
Indeed.
And here we are, starting World 2.
Oh my god. God, you're so fast.
That's mostly through repetition, honestly.
Yeah.
But yes, I really do like this game. Although if I won't say it's perfect, I won't do that. But it's damn close when it comes to platforming. I've not actually played all the way through Rayman Legends or Origins to see how well of games that they are in comparison, but I want to because thanks to my childhood I am into Nintendo platforming.
Well, this game definitely ranks up there with. Well, I mean, how many platformers did Nintendo have besides just Donkey Kong and Mario?
Kirby,
Oh, yeah,
technically
Kirby.
Metroid. I love the Kirby
Okay,
series.
so there's a lot of platforming genres. This is on the much lighter end of the spectrum. Like this, like a child could play this game and have a pretty good time with it, especially because of the animal friends. He's got.
For the first two to 2.5 worlds. Once we get to a particular level in Act 2, things really start to get a lot more difficult, and I honestly think it's for the worse.
Yeah. Who's our spider friend here?
This is Squitter the Spider. Squitter is fucking amazing because he has infinite flight.
Yeah. He's got sneakers on.
Yes, not only does he have sneakers on, but he can generate platforms at will.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. More hidden things.
Yes. Squitter's tutorial level is actually very
Find
nice.
the token.
Oh look, it's up there.
Yay! We did it. I like a game like it kind of reminds me of Sonic the Hedgehog now that I think about it, even though it's not it's a very arbitrary comparison because a lot of games even around this time started to include a lot of hidden stuff in the environment. This game takes it to a whole nother level because there is shit everywhere.
There is, but at the same time, you don't get overwhelmed with the amount of shit that's everywhere. Unless, of course, you count the DK hero coins, which are actually really well.
Well, like it's one of these games. This is one of those games where you are tempted to explore every nook and cranny that you come across.
True. And usually to your detriment, because a lot of those nooks and crannies have a failure state attached to them. But in the next part, we will be continuing on with World 2 in the Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yay!
Naming these parts was a chore.